Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, Wise.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, W-I-Z-E. And my next guest is an author, a teacher, a coach. I've known this lady who for quite a while now. We've been friends since high school. And she is doing some amazing things. I'm so excited to have her on the show. We were scheduled for another day, and we kind of had technical difficulties, but I'm glad we were able to reschedule it, and here she goes, the Enchantress, Shane. What's going on?
Yay, I'm so glad to be here. Of course, it's more perfect timing than it was then.
Listen, it was meant to happen now. That's all.
Totally.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
So you're doing some great things. I'm always catching your videos. You're doing some great videos on Facebook. I'm always supporting. When I see it, I get a notification. I hop in the room because it's always going to be nothing but great energy and some great vibes. So awesome. I love that energy. So I go in and check it out and just feed off that energy. So by the time I'm done watching your show, I'm in a good mood.
Great. That's the best thing. That's like medicine. Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is. So what's going on, man? You're doing so many things. You had the book out last year. I see you doing the Facebook lives, or I guess how you doing it like almost daily, I think.
So Fridays, it's the Friday Coven. So everybody's invited on my main page, and it's really just it's like you said, you're gonna leave feeling better and like everything's possible.
Yeah, but you also do some things throughout the week as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I probably like you as well. Like I get energy from sharing what I know, sharing what I learn. Because it gets a chance to not only for me to learn it and digest it, but then to speak on it with conviction is like it compounds the learning so that so that everybody can get a piece of it. And really my passion, sometimes I feel pushy. I'm like, everybody should be working with a coach, work with me. It's like, I just want people to know the freedom, the personal liberation that I do. And in whatever way that they're supposed to have it in life, we all have different privileges and different backgrounds, but that there is personal liberation available to everybody. And I don't care what's going on in your life, but that art is really the way out and the way in.
And for me, it was finding my voice. It was me finding that I can do this. I wouldn't say I'm an artsy person. I'm not. So I'm more of an athlete. I play more sports than anything else.
Yeah.
So when I started the podcast, it just started like all these creative juices just started flowing. I started doing different things. I started designing logos. I started creating thumbnails for myself. I started editing my podcast. Then eventually I started editing other people's podcasts. It was all these creative things started happening, and it just came out from when I just hit record and started recording my podcast.
I truly believe I have a new offering coming out, and it's based on Fuck Your Fears. But
I love that.
I know. Well, I really needed to have that. I'm a behaviorist. My master's is special education. I was, moving up the ranks in the education world. And then I was like, this doesn't feel good. Like, it feels like half of me is here and the rest is like, no, that's for somewhere else. And, so I needed to use that title. It was a one-woman show I did. It was all these things. But I realized the reason to fuck fears is so that you can trust yourself. So I have this new offering and it's called Trust Club. And basically everyone in Trust Club has to be working on some project. And it could be a podcast or it could be 10 days in a row on TikTok. But it's something like you just said, once you start a project, there are so many pieces that you have to learn, but you're not learning it just to learn. The ego is like, who cares? But if you're doing it for a presentation, if you're doing it for something that will eventually impact others, there's pieces that you didn't even know you had to learn. Like, oh, now I have to use Canva. Oh, now I have to think of good wording. Oh, now I have to put a title. Like, these things would never. And so your brain gets stretched, your heart gets stretched because now you're thinking about people. Now you're, so when you have a project or a business or an art that you're working on, like you just said, all of a sudden other parts of your brain get used, other parts of your creativity get used, and all of a sudden when you learn something so easily and someone says, "How do you do that? You're amazing." And you're like, "No, I'm not. I just figured it out." And they're like, "Can I pay you to do that?" And all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, it's a side hustle, then it's a passion, then it's like my full-time gig." And there's no schooling for that. No one goes to school and is taught like, yeah, figure out what makes you really happy ever. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not. I'm a. My career. I'm a table games dealer in a casino. I did. I'm never. I'm not. I've never worked in a studio. Never did video. All of this. I'm self. I'm teaching myself.
Yeah.
I'm looking up the information, looking at what programs are easy that are good, but still easy for me to use, and so I'm developing skills from doing what I love.
Yeah.
So now I'm able to charge people whatever I want to edit their podcast or edit whatever they need me to edit, or if they need me to produce a whole show for them. I know I can set my worth, my value.
Mm.
Not whereas if I'm working at a job, they already have a set rate for me.
Totally.
Where here, I know my worth. I know the work I put into what I'm doing. So you're gonna pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to pay me, then okay, I'm not gonna take it. I'm not gonna take it personal.
Yeah.
You just find someone else that you feel that you're willing to pay whatever you're willing to pay. I know what I'm worth, and I'm not gonna, unless we're friends and then we come to some arrangement of where we help each. Then that's fine. I'm always looking to barter with friends. I don't. It doesn't. If they have a specific skills that I need, and I can help them something, we just swap it. That's how it goes. It's at least for me. I don't know about it. Even that's how I work.
Yeah. Well, what you're describing is freedom to decide, like there's no set rules and there's no set agreements except the ones that you speak of, and guess what? They can always be changed. So it's a freedom that is like, oh, it's like I want that. And then it also comes with its own confrontations, which is like, oh, now I have to talk money with a friend. Oh, now I have to say like I don't want to barter because what I'm doing is more valuable than what I'm getting. So it's like there's all these communication things that have to come up, but you're learning through the doings. It's not like you're practicing or reading a book. So, and it's great. The name of your podcast is Stuck in My Mind. I work with a lot of people who get stuck in their heads. It's a very busy place and it's an odyssey. You can get totally fucking lost. You can
Oh, you
convince
don't.
yourself you're great. You can convince yourself you're a piece of shit, all in the same 3
You don't have.
seconds.
You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
I know that's why it's like I had been stuck in my head for so long
Mm.
because I've been wanting a podcast since 2019, and
Huh.
me being stuck in my head, making up excuses to why I couldn't do the podcast.
Yeah.
Finally, I kicked in the door, waving the 4-4,
Yeah.
and just
I
like
was gonna say that.
it
Yes.
was like fuck it, I'm gonna press record and just and
And
since
just do
then
it.
I haven't stopped. I've
It's great.
I've probably recorded almost 200 episodes.
Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, and now I just shifted now to video. This in September, I just started my YouTube officially and started video aspect. But before that, it was 130, probably almost 100 and something episodes of audio, and I haven't really, and I still have, because remember, I started the video portion in August, so I'm still working from episodes that I recorded in June, July, and August
Wow.
of 2021. And I'm telling you, I was probably recording 5 episodes a week,
You loved
maybe
it.
a
You're
little bit
like in
more,
it full time. I love it.
maybe a little bit more. And I
Wow.
have so much content that I'm so backed up on, but it's good to have it. I can like release it in batches. I can do so many different things with it.
Yep. Yep.
But
Totally.
it's just it's the point is having the content. If you're gonna do this, you have to be consistent. You just have to keep going. Nothing's gonna happen overnight. It's
Totally.
not, especially in podcasting.
I mean, in podcasting and anything, and that there's so many ways to trick your faults, let's say. Like some people like, oh, I can't be consistent or I don't feel good. Do it in a batch. Do it spread out over time. Like you can figure out a way. There's not one way to be successful. So some clients that I work with, they're like, I don't know if I feel good. Like they're basically running their whatever they're doing on charisma. And so if they feel shitty, they don't want to record. It's like, but there are days they feel super high. I'm like, great, record 5 that day and then automate them. There's so many ways to do things these days. And so I'm sure you have one of your my biggest pet peeve is when people fight for their limitations. Like, I don't know how to do it. You're so good. It's like, let's go back to the very first video I ever did. I don't know how good I was. I don't even know where it is. It might be years. And the funny thing is, as soon as you start doing something that's a little bit out of the box, people are like, oh, I remember when I was doing videos back when nobody was doing videos and I would show up at a social event and people would be like, oh, Facebook. And I'm like, is there a full sentence there? Like, what are you saying? And I had my own insecurities, like, and now I'm like, if you're not doing it, what the fuck are you doing? Like when I get on a Zoom and someone's like, this is my first time or this is my first live, I'm like, wow, there's so much positivity that could happen and so much learning curve, that it's just the greatest place to play. And, for people that say, oh, there's so many people doing it already, I don't know why this is coming up, but, when doctors and lawyers go to college, they don't think like, oh, there's so many lawyers. Should I not do this? Like, no, they just keep pumping out doctors and lawyers. And so if you're a creative, I want you to know there's nobody else like you who has your ideas, your connections, your journey. So bring it on.
Right, no, right now, listen, right now is the time to be a creator.
Uh-huh.
Right now is one of the greatest times in all time, all times to be a creator.
Totally.
And I mean any video content, audio content, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now is the time. There's so many different platforms you can go out there and spread your message. And yes, you can make some money if you do it correctly. Yes, if it's done.
Cool. Yeah, I want to bookmark that so I don't forget it. But yes, you can make money. And here's the thing. It's not linear. It's not like I'm going to do this podcast. Like I was on a radio show many years ago for parents of children with special needs. And I was like, okay, the way to make money is to get sponsors. But it didn't feel good. It felt hard and it never happened. And what happened was like, oh, it's not linear. It's not like this is how I'm going to make money. When you show up, you have no idea what's going to happen. Somebody's going to be like, you're really great. I need someone to write a couple sentences in the Huffington Post. Can you give me a couple sentences? Or I need someone to be on NBC, whatever. You have no idea what's going to happen from people hearing you or seeing you. And that's like where the fun happens, where you just do your work because you like it and it's not for the money. It's because you need to. And these days, never mind all the platforms, it's healing. Like for you to get your voice. And even if you don't know your opinions, which is possible, you can get on and be like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but we're going on a journey of my own self-discovery because I am nervous as fuck right now, but I'm doing it anyway. And that is so relatable that people are going to be like, let's see what happens next week. This person was stuttering the first week. I wonder what, so you bring people on your journey, which dispels that you have to be perfect or professional because it's that stuff that keeps everybody in hiding.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So when I do my inspirational quotes and I record them and I post them, and and I have a lot of outtakes. I have a
Mhm.
shitload of fucking outtakes.
Yeah.
And so I was taking this course, and the teachers of the course, they put a blooper reel, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me go and create my own little minute something blooper reel. And I uploaded and I released it, and people enjoyed it, loved it so much. They're like, "Oh man, I thought about doing that," but it was just seeing someone else do it, and I know I have a lot of like, because I know when I'm recording how many times I fuck up. Like when
Mhm.
I'm saying something and I'm reading something and I go and I read something wrong, I go, "Oh fuck," or I go. One of the things I go is blah, 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 blah. So I just record, keep it recorded, and just keep it there. I don't delete it. So when I saw that, I was like, you know what? If I can't laugh at myself,
Mm.
like I'm not gonna succeed in anything, because I'm just gonna take everything personally. Here you go, laugh with me, because I'm laughing. I
Oh,
was laughing my ass off when I was editing the video. So I'm like, yo, fuck it, let people laugh with me. And and I got a lot of positive comments and positive feedbacks from it, and I love it.
I mean, if we can't listen, we shit is chaos right now. Like we have to laugh. If so many people, and I really don't have a lot of serious people on my feed. And if I do, I'm like, probation, get out of here. Like I don't want to, I've never wanted to fight with anybody. I've always been sensitive, but there was some kind of toughness I had to take on and now I'm like, no, I'm a sensitive mush. Like and if somebody's mean to me, there's ways to handle it. And I love laughing at myself. And I think that that's a really good ego buster. I also have a blooper reel. I didn't make it. I made a video with someone, and I love the blooper reel more than I show the video itself because it's so real. And I think I listen to a lot of these master classes, the ones they have with like A-list celebrities and forgot his name right now, but he said if we're not laughing, like we're dying. Have to laugh. And there's no other better person to laugh at than yourself.
You end up doing some of the dumbest shit.
Yeah, and the potential that someone's gonna see it adds all this pressure. What changed and saved my life was becoming an actor, like a theater actor, and being wicked nervous before I get on stage. And then I do the thing, and then I'm like, "Hi," because although that energy in my body is like turns to pleasure and it releases all those feel good hormones that are like, life is amazing, anything is possible. And if you look at every single person that has been successful in this world, they take risks from a place of peak state, from a place of like, I could do anything. Like if you roll out of bed and you're like all fucked up, you're not going to take out a loan for 100K. You're not going to buy real estate. You're going to be like, what if I fail? What if I go broke? So the idea that you have a purpose that you have to get hype for, like what a different way to live versus like, oh, life sucks, the world's a mess, who's our leader, put a mask, don't put a mask. Who fucking cares? What are you making today? What are you impacting in the world? Like, to me, that's the most important thing. And I asked one of my clients, like, why do you like this work? What are you working with me for? She's like, it makes me feel alive. And that's a big fucking deal.
But that's the energy you give, though.
Yeah.
That's the energy. Like I said, when I tune into your shows, I tune into your shows for the positive vibe, for the positive energy, so I can leave
Yeah.
charged up.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, not everybody's into my energy. I'm not everyone's jam, so like it's like find who is your jam and like get high with them on
Well,
life.
I couldn't see why you wouldn't be everybody's gym. Listen, you have. I know when I first started my podcast, it was more about what was going on in the news and the politics, and
Mhm.
because when I started,
Wow.
it was big. It was the election time. The George Floyd stuff had started and all that.
Got it. Oh, got it.
So the energy was just toxic, and I felt I enjoyed doing the podcast. I just didn't enjoy doing that kind of podcast.
Yeah.
So I transitioned more to interviewing people so they can tell their story
Mm,
and whatever they're doing, and it just morphed into having entrepreneurs, actors,
that's great.
all types of coaches, and I'm a self-help podcast now,
That's great.
but it's just being able to help one person. I'm good. Honestly, I'm really good. I've been me and Jason Sklar did a episode,
Uh-huh.
and someone that went to school with us saw heard the episode, and they were on the fence about doing their own business, going into business for themselves. And when they heard us talk, they were like, knowing that two people I grew up with, that I went to school with, are doing these types of things,
So
why
good.
can't I do it?
So good. I just got chills.
So
Yeah, that's it. We don't have to make it hard. And my number one commandment, right? And fuck your fears is show the fuck up. Just show up. You don't have to know what's going to happen next. I give this challenge twice a year. It's called Video Vixen. And it's to go live for 18 days. And one of the prompts is to start the video and say, I don't know what I'm going to say. And really uncover whatever is supposed to come up in that moment. Every human being would be surprised that they have something to share that they think is like, who cares about this? It's so stupid, but it's not. So you, with intention, with a mic, with all your stuff going on, it's like with that intention, the impact is going to have a bigger ripple. But even if it's a little tiny video you make one day, you have no idea of the impact. And just showing up is enough.
yeah, you're actually the fourth South Shore member I've had on my show.
You have a club. That's cool. We're like South Shore Foundation
Yeah,
members.
we had I've had 4 South Shore members. I
That's
just recorded
amazing.
one with last week, and then I've had Jason on. Jason
I
was
love it. I love it.
a
Yeah.
while ago,
Shout
and
out to
Stacey,
Narcy.
yeah, and I had Stacy Michael, Stacy
Yeah.
Cooper. I had her on also. So
Nice.
it's amazing to be able to reconnect with a lot of people that you grew up with and all that, and see where they're at in their lives,
Mm.
and everyone has a story.
Listen, everyone has a story, and no one in the whole world has the same story. So there's no way it could be boring. And it's a mindset. Like if you think you're boring, then you're boring and that's sad. But if you think you're boring and you're like, I don't know if I'm boring actually, and you tell your story, you actually have no idea. Again, the no idea thing is really big with me. It's like, we are taught, and I don't know where we're taught it in different places, but like know the outcome. Know why you're doing this. Study so you can pass this test. Like it's a very narrow, limited viewpoint. And what we're doing, what a lot of creatives, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I think that's really like a creative spirit. We don't know the outcome. And that is scary and it's unknown. And the truth is, we're all in the unknown and it's more obvious than ever. So it's like a microcosm of what's happening in the world is okay, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I'm showing up here 5 o'clock on a Tuesday because it's what I've chosen to do. So it's empowering to make a choice and to create a schedule that you like. Nobody's going to yell at you if you don't show up. So I do this Friday coven every day, every Friday, 4-ish. I don't even commit to a time. And it makes my little inner child so happy that I can't get in trouble, that I'm not going to do it wrong. But if I stopped showing up, I've been doing it for years already. People, it might be like, where are you? Are you okay? So it's like this global community, right? Because the internet is global. You can have people. I remember when I had my blog, people in Sri Lanka were writing. I'm like, this is amazing. It's such a beautiful web of people that you grew up with. Like we went to South Shore, people who you never will meet. And it's like, wow, it's humanity. And to me, it's like I might not be able to connect with everybody we went to high school with. People aren't maybe into the same stuff, or it's limited. Like, do you have any kids? Are you married? And then nothing else. So the fact that like, okay, we have this giant circle, and then in that circle, we have different ways to support and and love what we're doing with each other. And who knows what's going to happen? Like I might need some video work. Maybe we'll make who knows? Like the sky's the limit. Wow,
Oh
Big
no,
Papa's really up here today.
no, listen, but it is, man. And you know what? It's just the energy that we are putting out there.
Yeah.
I am like some of my guests recently have been amazing.
Mm,
Just with the fact, with the energy that they bring, and the value that they bring. And so to be able to connect with these people that you, like you said, had it not been for me doing my podcast, I
right.
probably would have never connected with, never made these connections with. And some of these relationships are bearing fruit, are bearing opportunities.
Yeah,
And that's what it is. That's how you build yourself up, is building up your network.
totally.
And it's being your true self, because people can tell if you're fake. People can tell if you're not really who you say, who you portray yourself to be.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people portraying they're frauds out there. They're not truly themselves.
yeah,
And I'm truly who I am. When I'm on my show, when I'm out in the street, I'm always myself. I'm not making myself bigger than what I am.
totally.
I'm just having fun, loving what I'm doing,
Yeah,
and just enjoying life. I'm blessed. I can
yeah,
there's so many things going on in the world that can, but I have a job, I have a roof over my head, I have a beautiful wife, I have great kids, grandkids. I
wow.
am blessed.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, who wants to be more blessed? Like me, I do,
Of course, yo, I want to continue to get. I want to continue to get blessings, of
Yeah,
course. But
yeah.
you know what it is? I would When you're not ready to receive them,
Mm,
you will not receive them. Honestly, if you're not open to spirit, and you're not open to this, to whatever it is that you believe in, if you're not ready to receive it, you're not going to receive it. It's going to go on to the next person.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, I teach a lot about deservability. Some people just don't think they deserve it, and it's sad. And I think there's a lot of people that are just afraid, and it's fun to be blessed and to feel good. And with the good also comes discomfort, also comes, darker emotions. And it's not about being a positive Polly and just like, no, we're only happy and joyful. It's like, no, but now at least, when I'm this joyful, I can also get this dark and sad, but I have tools and I have a community so that I'm not alone. And I think these days there's like a ton of grief that nobody's knowing how to deal with. And so when you open yourself up to new communities, in a way that feels like, oh, I fit here, or I can bring a lot here, or I can receive a lot here. It's like helps you become more real and more authentic. I think a lot of people just get stuck in this 15-year-old version of themselves. And then if you're hanging out with the same people that you did your whole life, it's uncomfortable to be different. I did, at one point I stopped all recreational drugs. I stopped drinking and I stopped hanging out with all these friends that I was spending summers with because I found a teacher. And then they were like, "Oh, you're not drinking anymore." And I'm like, "Damn, dude, why does it bother you?" Because it made them look at themselves. And I wasn't saying you should stop drinking. I just was like, I'm not on that trip right now. And I realized I couldn't hang out with them anymore. And people have said, like, "Oh, but you're really good at making friends." It's like, no, I have interests. So when I go to a new place and I have common interests, we have something to talk about. I'm not just like, "Hi, I'm Shane, want to be my friend?" It's like, da da da, video, dance, art, music. So it's really important to open up to hobbies, let's say, to call them at first, because it makes you a more interesting person. So if you feel like a loser, and there really is real depression, but you're sitting home on your couch, put on YouTube and watch a painting video. Do I have my book here? I've never been trained in art, but my aunt passed away almost a year ago. I want to show you something I made. So I have this like journal. It just has a whole bunch of art in it, whatever. And I just wrote her name and I was super anxious and super sad. And I took a doodling class and they just showed me all these little doodles and here's her name. And it just was like, instead of sitting around being anxious and not knowing what to do, I just spread out the markers and I was like coloring. And this still exists, And so get yourself an art journal. I just made this. It's like show and tell time. I didn't know what I'm doing, but
That's nice though.
it's so cool, right? There's a woman
Yeah.
I follow on Instagram and she draws fairies. And I was like, I want to draw fairies. So boop, boop, boop. I know these markers, like these,
Yeah.
Little. So they excite me. Gold markers excite me. So start small. I want to encourage everyone who's listening and watching, just start small with something that makes you happy, like gold markers, and start making little dots and see what happens. It's like what I hope and what I know, people get inspired by hearing you. You're just like this regular guy, but not really. Um, you lift yourself up by being open to new experiences where you could, let's say, fail. That's what people say, the words fail. And it's like, that's a very lack term or very scarcity based. It's like you're rich or you're poor, you're good or you're bad. No, I'm learning. How do I not? There's no failing.
You know what? When I again, it starts with me starting the podcast.
Yeah.
When I wasn't doing the podcast, when I was making up the excuses, I was failing. That was
Mm,
failure to me.
oh, interesting. I
That
like it.
was failure to me because I didn't attempt it. Like, how do
Mm,
I know if I was going to be good or not? How did I know if anybody was gonna listen to me, if I was gonna get the downloads that I have, build the following that I have, whatever. That just the fact that me not doing it was me failing.
yeah, you got to be in it to win it. I like that. Interesting.
You have to listen. Let me try, and then if I fail, at least I went out there and I attempted to do it, and then I could feel good about myself.
Totally.
But sitting on the sidelines, just making up excuses to why I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you know what? I can't fail if I don't do it. Well, buddy, you failing anyway because you're not doing it.
Yeah. And that's where people stay in their heads because they're like, well, if I do it and this and this and this happens, it's like, but what do you mean if? Like, you don't even know. You're not even going to give yourself the
It's a
chance.
chance, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a statistics person, but I'm curious because I know you played sports. I think there's something in that really teaches a kid a lesson. It's like, okay, you're sitting on the sidelines, but you got the uniform on. Listen, in boosters, right? In South Shore.
Yeah.
I was in elementary school and the girl upstairs from me was a booster. It's all I wanted to be my whole life, my whole life. Junior high school, I tried out, didn't make it, didn't make it, didn't make it. The fourth time, only for the last year, I made it as a booster. And I remember telling this boyfriend a long time ago, like, oh my God, I tried out 4 times. And I was like ashamed of it. He's like, that is some commitment. Like, the second time you failed, you went back again. And I was like, I do not care. I'm getting this outfit. I am boosting on this bleachers. And it just was such a reframe. And that's kind of what you're describing. It's like, I just wanted what I wanted and I wasn't giving up. And I never saw myself as committed or disciplined. But to try 4 different times, to fail 3, and to show my face again and be like, I don't care. You're fucking picking me. Um, that is something that some people have intrinsically. But if you have a community that's like, no, bro, do it again. It's great. When you start to fall and your energy starts to fall, you'll have someone that's like, that's why community is important, so that you don't go back into your head and you don't go into this like, who cares? I did a thing. It was only once. We can always talk ourselves out of it,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
We're our biggest. That's like you're your biggest hurdle. Like
Totally. I love that word hurdle.
you're the one who like people might find excuses to blame everyone else.
It's so much easier.
And yeah, it's when you realize that it's you,
Yeah.
then that's when you start making the changes. You start making the adjustments. Like I have friends that I've had since forever.
Yeah.
We might not hang out all the time. Like we might not see each other all the time, but if I call them, it's like we never we don't miss a beat.
Mm,
But then you also have to start surrounding yourself with like-minded people as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So there's relationships that are gonna go fall in the back. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going out your life. They're always
Right.
is these new relationships that you need to nurture and grow and develop, especially
Yeah.
if it's people who are helping you, who are helping uplift you,
Totally.
or who are sharing knowledge with, or who you're able to help with. It's about being able to help people as well. One of the reasons we started the internet radio station was to give people a platform if they couldn't find other places to do what they wanted to do, or learn how to be on a radio personality, or want to be a DJ on a radio, or who haven't who if you have music and you've never had to play it on the radio station and you just want to hear it once,
Mm,
whatever.
whatever. Yeah. I remember for a while I was working with kids in prison. They were amazing. I just feel that I want to bring them up. And I brought in this company called ReelWorks, REEL, and they were making movies with the kids. The kids were 13 to 18. They were in trouble. They were arrested for things. I love them. I don't know why. I just love them. I love them so much. I taught them theater and mindfulness stuff. They had different people coming in. Like you could work at McDonald's, you could work at Target. Like, okay, cool. Of course I was like, this kid is. But what I found out about the kids was like a couple of them had sick editing skills. They were splicing. They'd never had this opportunity, but I brought in this company, and this one kid, he barely spoke English. But he was so insistent on splicing videos and putting in sound effects and making certain things. Those are skills that I don't have patience for. And I'm like, holy shit, so for kids to feel what you're sharing now, it's like just the opportunity to see themselves shine. Like he would have no idea he's a good editor or even what editing was, but he got the iPad and they showed him what to do. And it was a natural ability. Another kid this kid was 13. He was really tall, really handsome. Every kid was like, I want to go back to the unit. This kid wrote a play, drew a mustache on himself, played 3 characters, 8 hours. The day was over. He's like, are you going to come back tomorrow? Like this kid's soul was like, I need this. Maybe he could work at Target, but I want him to be on stage. I want him to be running the show and receiving information. And so I want to just say to adults, I don't know why we're talking to people that don't want to do anything. They're probably not even listening, but if you have a kid,
Hopefully the listeners are people who want something, who are
like,
looking for
okay. All right. So I'll speak to the people who maybe feel stuck, right? I'm just looking at the word stuck in that, you have the opportunity and you don't have to be a celebrity. It's not about being like, or you get to decide, do you want to be a celebrity or do you want to have a more interesting life? And the idea is that there are so many people that don't have that opportunity, so if it's even crossing your mind, should I do this? Fuck it, do it. I dare you. And tag me, like tag both of us, and we'll be here to root you on. That's how fast community really happens.
Yeah. It's crazy because you would think that a lot of your personal friends and family would be some of your biggest supporters.
Yeah.
And it's actually a lot of the podcasters, like a lot of the podcasters I've connected with, build relationships with. Those are some of your biggest supporters. Those are some of the people that will go out and they see, hey, oh, you got a new T-shirt? Let me buy a T-shirt. Or, hey, you got a new episode? Let me download that episode.
Yeah.
And it's these relationships, and like I said, it's these relationships you build that you would not necessarily build not doing this.
Totally. And having new people in your life, that's growth. That's being in the game. If you're staying in a little sheltered zone with your coworkers and your family and your same old friends, it's really limiting. And, some people like that, and listen, we need fans. Not everybody could be the star, but to really stay engaged in some way. And if you have that hit of like, maybe I could do this, there are so many places that you can hop on for free. And, thinking of it, I have a friend and he's a poker dealer and he has this YouTube channel. He streams. He's got over 1 million people. People are like tipping him during the thing. He just loves it so much. And his wife was like, I can't listen to you anymore. But other poker players can listen to him forever. So he's doing his thing. And it's just really amazing. I've seen his whole thing grow. And so if you're at home and your wife or your husband or your partner is telling you like, shut the fuck up with this. Like, no, they're not your audience, but there are people who will listen to you and your partner will benefit because you'll get your stuff out.
Oh no, listen, he found a niche. He found his niche.
Yeah.
He found something, and people are so into poker right now.
Oh my God.
Poker is huge.
Yeah.
So if you can build a channel where you're teaching people how to play poker, you'll have a following. You, especially if you're good, especially if you're a good teacher, and
Yeah. Yeah.
people are gonna follow you, and your following is gonna grow because that is something people will still. A lot of people are learning how to still learn poker, play poker.
I mean, poker, gambling, stripping, like all these things, like OnlyFans, everybody has a place these days. Like there is nobody that's excluded from self-expression. And everybody's home. I mean, we started to go back into the world, but it's really nice. Even on TikTok, I watch some things. I'm just like, wow, I'm fascinated with behavior. And the people who are doing the stupidest things are just like, A, they're making money, but B, they're just like living. And I don't know, it's really
Oh no,
fascinating.
like this. There's a few couples on TikTok me and my wife follow, and we laugh. It's just to be able to laugh. Just
Yeah,
to
simple. Like,
me, is the energy that they bring, is the positivity that they're putting out there
yeah.
by just making you laugh. Because then there's TikToks that you be like, oh, let me
Yeah.
swipe. I don't want to watch that shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then there's those ones that that they're always gonna bring something funny, something that's gonna uplift you, and that's what I'm focused on. That's what I want my content to be, is something that's gonna uplift people. They're gonna laugh. They're gonna come on and just be able to enjoy what I'm bringing to them.
Yeah,
It's got to be positive. It's got to be something about building the community and not tearing it down.
totally. And I'll say that even, let's say if someone's not feeling positive, like they won't feel alone, and that's a huge deal. Like these days, if I feel alone or I start to go a dip, I'll turn on a podcast where there's conversation, or I'll listen to The Moth or something that's storytelling that reminds me there are humans that are doing their own work, that are feeling their feelings. And then all of a sudden I'm lifted to somewhere else. So it's really important. It's important work. It's the most important work these
And
days.
it's yeah, because even with the Miss America that she recently just jumped off,
Yeah.
it's,
Oh my
you
God.
would think someone who had, and that just goes to show you. Listen, she's Miss America. She had a great job at Extra. She was a lawyer. This young lady had it all,
Hmm.
but it seems like maybe not. Maybe,
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of people are going through right now, is the mental health aspect of it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know where to go seek help at, or yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people who like offer help are overwhelmed. So these days, like I just finished my last Fuck Your Fears course, and everybody had lost somebody, and it just so happened. Like somebody had died, like a mother, a father, my aunt, like really important people. And they didn't have any other outlet because it's interesting to be in therapy. I loved therapy, but one-on-one is really intense. And there's a feeling of like, oh, I'm broken versus like, I have sad stuff going on, but I have creative projects as an outlet. So I'm not like only focusing on my feelings. That's hard. You can't just focus on your feelings. It doesn't get better that way. But if you're sitting and you're anxious and you're making dots and circles, it's a way that the body can like relieve the energy that's usually building up around the heart or the shoulders or the stomach. So self-expression is more than just like a way to be seen. It's like saving lives. Like yeah, and I always think about Robin Williams, and if he's a really great example of like someone who can go so high. If people who go so high, that pendulum swings both ways, so they can go as low. And if he didn't have that outlet of humor, what would happen? You would feel him on stage like, oh my God, ah. But it's that knowing that like, even if you're not a painter, who gives a shit? Get a notebook and take your marker and stab at it. Like you're allowed to be angry. You're allowed, I teach a lot of embodiment stuff because the mind and the body are separate places, and the body has all this energy that's anger or rage. We can't just think our way away from it, right? So like in terms of self-expression, whether it's going and dancing or pounding in the snow or whatever it is, self-expression it's the most healthiest thing in order to get centered to remember, like, okay, wait a minute, shit sucks, but I can do something about it. And if you have to, let's say you're feeling like shit, you have to set up your lights, you have to sit behind you, you have to get into a different headspace if you can get yourself there. But yeah, there's and I imagine, hearing all this positivity, we don't have all the answers, but when you hear someone who has a lot of answers, it kind of jogs your own thinking of like, okay, this guy did this. What could I do? Like, whatever. If a guy likes sports, you could
No,
go on
so
a podcast and talk shit for
so
20
so
minutes.
so one of the things when I started, there was a guest I had on, and I said, oh man, I feel kind of selfish because I'm learning so much from all these guests, and they're like, why do you feel selfish? They're like, that's
Yeah.
self-love. That's you wanting to grow and develop. There's
Yeah.
there's nothing about that. There's like, there's nothing selfish about that.
Yeah, we're
Just the
taught
fact,
that. We're
yeah,
taught
just
that. It's so whack.
yeah, and it was just, and I had already, I've known it, but it was just being able to hear them tell me this.
Yeah.
It reinforced it. It made sure it was like, okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. Everything you just said to me made a lot of sense. So now I look at it as everybody that I have on, I'm learning from and growing, and I'm hoping people out there as well can receive and it might be a different part of the podcast that they might take something different from. They're like, oh, I needed to hear that, and I might have not heard that until probably like hearing the episode 5 times. So
Yeah.
it's just I guess people receive messages differently.
And at the right time. Like, I remember my teacher saying something and I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. And my friends were like, he says that all the time. And I was like, I just wasn't ready for it, I guess, So, me mentioning the kids, like, I don't know why it comes up, but someone who's listening will be like, I know why it came up, blah, 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 blah. That's why the self-trust of just speak. You don't even know why you're saying it, but we are interactive without even knowing. It's not linear. We have no idea. I have no idea of the impact.
So that's why, all right, so I don't structure my podcast. I'd rather have the person on and we'll talk a little bit about whatever they're doing, and if they have a book, we'll talk about their book, whatever. And just for the most part, it's just more conversation. It's more letting your hair down and opening up and just being yourself.
Yeah.
And people tend to enjoy that more. People tend to be like, yeah, this is cool. Like this, they're more relaxed. They're not uptight and just trying to like sell something. They're really sitting down, having and enjoying the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. That's what I want is to be able to sit down, enjoy the conversation, and hopefully both parties had a good time. And then hopefully the listeners got something from it.
Yeah. And like you really drove home, some people don't even listen. They just feel an energy. They're like, that was cool. I don't even know, and that to me, and you said it also earlier, is feminine business, divine feminine business. And it's not about women. It's just the divine feminine that we all have in us is relationship based. It's not like, okay, you mention your book 5 times, put the link, like that is very like trajectory. And it's like, here's my goal versus like, we're just going to have a conversation and see. And also people feel that. So even if they're not listening, like, I don't know, I feel amazing. I feel like I want to call a friend. It's important to take the actions after you listen to people that you get turned on by, because once you're in that headspace and you're in your body of like, oh, anything's possible. Look at these two. You can carry that energy in your own life, not just like, oh, they're great. It's like, you're great. And that's my passion, is that everybody's freaking great. There's nothing special about you and me except we showed the fuck up.
No, it's funny because there was one day I recorded 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And on by the fourth episode, you would have thought I would have been drained. And when the person found out I had recorded 4 episodes, they're like, thank you. I'm like, why? They're like, because you had nothing but energy throughout our show. It's like, it's not like you didn't act like you had just recorded 4 episodes.
Yeah.
and they were like, thank you. I'm like, you know what? Honestly, all 4 episodes were great. Just the energy flowing through those episodes kept me fresh, kept me charged,
Yeah.
kept me to the point where when I got to the 4th episode, it was still going.
Yeah.
And they picked up on that. And they realized, like, yo, even though you sat through 4 episodes, you still gave me the same energy you gave them.
Mhm. It's
That was
alignment.
dope.
It's like you're doing the right thing. That's the confirmation. When people say, aren't you tired from being on live? I'm like, no, I get energized. What I get tired from is sitting here not being connected to people. And if anything, people are longing for connection right now.
And that's the empath in you.
Oh,
I
for
know
sure.
that because
Yeah.
I've had to come to terms of my me being that kind of person, and just for a long time I didn't know why I was drained,
Mm-hmm.
why I suffer, why after I was around certain people I was just drained.
Yeah.
And then the more I got into uh, learning about self and learning about energy and learning about that, I'm like, okay, I absorb a lot of energy.
Yes.
And when I absorb negative energy, it just drains me.
Yeah.
And that's what it took me to realize, like, okay, I need to stay away from that energy. I need to surround myself around with this energy because just don't like being in that spot, and it's just funky and nasty. So me learning about myself and the self discovery part of all this is me learning truly who I am, is
Mm.
knowing that I can watch a TV commercial and it has some parents or something happen and something and they end up crying. I'll feel
Yeah.
the energy and I'll feel the tears coming, and it's just an emotional moment, and it happens a lot when it comes to, especially
Yeah.
when there's something that's very emotional on TV or whatever it is, and it's cool. It's just me being myself, just being able to just actually just be me now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's pretty brave and courageous to feel feelings. This society does not embrace feelings, especially the uncomfortable ones, and a lot of parents are like, I don't want my kid to see me cry. And it's like, well, then they don't know about crying. And then there's shame around it. And so, it's really important to be an adult these days, in trying times, when, especially when you have kids around, but you never know who's going to listen, who's going to show up or see. And so it doesn't have to be this big explosion, but to just really allow feelings that can come as they come. Um, and some people feel them stronger, but yeah, it's an important piece of being whole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you. Yep,
Yeah.
definitely agree with you on that one. But Shane, this has been great.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to invite anyone who's interested.
Oh yeah, I'm about to hold on,
Okay, good. All right, I'll slow down.
hold on, slow down. This is the part of the show where you do get to plug away.
Okay,
Yes,
got it. I
but
was
let
like,
me
should I
say it first. Can I say it first before
go
you
for it? I
go
will
out and
put
just
it
start
down.
plugging away?
I won't be in charge.
Now go ahead, plug away. Let them know where they can find you at.
Okay. So you're like my answer. Just Google Enchantress Shane and see what comes up. But there's lots of things. There's video, there's audio, there's courses, there's free stuff. Like, really trust yourself to show up and see, like, what do you want to do? You want to buy a book? You want to do a course? Do you want to buy a coloring book that's coming out this year? It's all available.
Yeah, see, and everything is going to be in the descriptions when I release this on
Oh, great,
YouTube.
great, great, great.
So all this information will be on the descriptions once I release it on YouTube, probably next week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I'll probably release the audio a couple of months later. It's because I have so much audio. Like I said, I have so much audio from last year that I didn't use yet
Got it.
that I have to use. It's just great content. I have to put it out. So the videos that I'm recording now get played up on YouTube first, and then if they're really good, I'll move them up on the queue and release them on my audio podcast as
Oh,
well.
I got it. Okay.
But yeah, this one will get moved up.
All these systems. That's what, right? As a business entrepreneur, it's like figuring out systems so that it's easier.
Totally. I'm really working down on building up a schedule and getting.
Yeah.
So I've cut down my recordings to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, focusing on the editing and all the other stuff for the show, and then just other shows that I'm helping produce. So
cool. Yeah, that's not something I learned in school. How to like have discipline. You have to learn it.
You have to learn. I'm not very disciplined, but these are things you have to learn, that you have to set up a schedule and a calendar for yourself. Yeah. Especially if you're going to go into business.
Totally. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you. It got dark as we're on.
Yeah, thank you for being on. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm always stopping in. Like I said, I'm always stopping in on your lives and sending them a message in the chat and all that. So
yes, and I'll share this with all my people too. And we'll just keep growing and keep not knowing what will be next. So
hopefully we both be media moguls.
Yes,
you have a lot of.
Yes, the mogul aspect. I love that word.
But all right, now it's time for shout outs. But thanks again, Shane, for being on. Appreciate it. Don't leave just yet, though.
Okay, my pleasure.
All right, so big shout out to Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Actually, get Poppy J's book is out right now. The Plush Life from Prison to Peace. Definitely check them out. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Love you, baby. Appreciate you. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. You know your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter @wise_b_blunt, Instagram @wise_b_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/wise76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.